Hello, my beautiful dubs. My name is Mina. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a bit of a different vibe. So some of you may know I went to Paris for Paris Fashion Week, and I actually was filming a collaboration with Dior. So I now present Mina in Paris. Bonjour. So I don't know what to do with the hair if I.
Right. I mean, that's the potential. That's
Okay.
the potential.
So what are you planning to wear today?
Yeah.
Today, well, I'm wearing this. I have to figure out how to get this tie on because I've never tied a tie before. I think I'm gonna add this onto my hair and do like a babushka kind of look. And Dior sent me this matching trench coat with the skirt, so they have to be worn together. And I think I'm gonna layer the belts across, like, to give it a little bit more of an interesting snatched silhouette. And then I think this is the bag I'm choosing. I'm gonna keep it all black and probably the boots because it's kind of rainy outside.
So where are we going now?
We're going to the Christian Dior show, which is in Le Jardin. You're gonna have to help me with that one.
Jardin des Tuileries.
Oh my gosh. Jardin de
Tuileries. Are you excited?
I am really excited. I haven't been to Paris Fashion Week before, so this is going to be interesting to see how it differs from New York Fashion Week. And also it's like very sweet because the first museum I ever went to was museum exhibit for fashion I ever went to was the Christian Dior exhibit when I was living in Australia, so. What?
Wait, walk a little slower.
Oh, walk forward.
You're very fast.
I'm a New Yorker. It's so pretty. We're at Disney.
Euro Disney, yeah.
Disney Paris.
Ah, brilliant.
You know, I used to work at the Disney World in Florida.
We've been twice.
Oh my god, I worked at Epcot for a summer.
I like Epcot.
Yeah.
That was the last place we went.
Come up since then.
So I didn't really record my show recordings post seeing the show because I don't know, I like to like reflect on what I see. Because I am the type of person to get pulled away by the spectacle, and yes, it was quite the spectacle. But I do think it was a relatively like strong collection. These were my favorite looks by far. I love all the lace, the historical details, motifs, the shapes of the skirts, the peignoirs, the shoes. Honestly, the shoes are probably my favorite part of the entire collection. I just thought the heel shape was very cool, and I actually explore that a little bit later when I go to the archive, so stay tuned. Today I'm really excited because we're going to go to the Dior archive, so come on!
So here, this is a library, and here I selected some documents written by Mr. Dior.
In the Dior Archive Gallery, Swazi and I looked at some of Dior's writing. He was an illustrator for Women's Wear Daily, which I never knew, penned an autobiography that was published in multiple languages, and this was my favorite Dior fact: he was a major fan of costume balls. This look, which he wore to Le Bal Oriental in 1951, is one of my favorites. Here he is on the left, with fashion journalist Marie-Louise Bousquet on the right. This is a lion costume he wore to the 1949 Ball of Kings and Queens, hosted by Count Etienne de Beaumont. The costume was actually designed by Pierre Cardin, who was a friend and colleague. As an aside, Count Etienne de Beaumont was known for throwing lavish masquerade balls throughout the early 20th century. Harper's Bazaar even described them in 1923 as fêtes, aka parties, of unsurpassed magnificence. Swazi then showed me the part of the archive that preserves perfumes and accessories. The first Miss Dior, which we're looking at here, was released in 1947, named for his sister Catherine Dior. Catherine was also a French resistance fighter who was awarded with several medals of honor, so an icon in her own right. The perfume was the least he could do. Of course, the formula has changed over the years, but the original fragrance was composed of chai mixed with rose and jasmine, tempered with soft lavender and sage on a bed of oak moss.
You know, Mr. Dior had many dogs, and always he called them Bobby.
Why?
Yeah, it was, well, I don't know. And as long as he had a Bobby dog, we had a Bobby garment in the collection.
I love how the heel curves in. I noticed that a lot with the new Dior collection.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes, yeah. Yeah, and this one has been designed for autumn-winter 1962 collection by Roger Vivier. Look. And here, you know, gosh.
We need these back.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, you can lock it, you know, it's closed and you don't see anything.
Yeah. I wish hats were more in style again, because I know that in, like, for much of the 1950s, everyone wore a hat.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, Mr. Dior
was
he
bald.
loves it. Well, he
Strangely satisfying. See you again soon.
It was a pleasure to shake
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the gallery. I'm gonna get changed first, and I'll see you soon. And we're back. I am wearing a Dior bar jacket, a classic piece from Dior. I also have a Miss Dior bag, which is like my dream bag, so I'm really excited to be carrying it around. And shoes from their newest collection. They have the same heel shape as the ones we just saw by Roger Vivier. So yeah, this is the full look. At the Dior gallery, I had an amazing guide who requested to remain anonymous in this video, so I've kind of edited him out, but yeah, I am getting a guide, which is really nice. So when we first stepped in, there was this massive display of mini Dior designs. There are over 1,864 objects in the display case, organized by color. So these dresses were designed specifically for the American market. This is something new I learned. The American customer preferred to have a slightly less snatched waist and less ornament in their clothes than the French customer, so House of Dior, of course, catered to that preference. We're right now in the magic wood of the Dior gallery. I wish you guys were here to see it in person because it is magical, and I don't mean that lightly. It's so dark. There's a lot of, what are these made from?
I guess paper.
Paper.
Paper, yeah.
But there are these paper leaves descending from the ceiling. There's light that is sort of moving around, kind of to mimic fireflies, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. And the clothes in here are also.
Yeah.
Well, this dress, I'm 99% sure, I didn't write it down, is from Gianfranco Ferré's Spring 1992 couture collection in Balmy Summer Breezes, which was inspired by Dior's gardens. The design of this robe also looks heavily inspired by Japanese kimono, and also reminds me of a dress that Dior designed himself for the 1955 Spring Summer collection. Christian Dior was big on flower motifs because he grew up in Granville, which is on the coast of Normandy, as the son of a wealthy fertilizer manufacturer. So he grew up around gardens, and his sister Catherine even became a flower farmer after the war. As a tribute to his legacy, the creative directors who followed him often incorporate flower motifs in their designs. This immaculate crazy dress was designed by John Galliano for the Spring-Summer 2011 couture collection, The Art of René Gouraud. René was a famous illustrator and friend of Christian Dior who designed some of Dior's most memorable advertisements, such as the Rouge Baiser poster. One of the most spectacular rooms in the whole gallery is the Heaven Room. The room is really about highlighting the similarities between all the designers for House of Dior and how they've all done their best to uphold Christian's legacy. This Renaissance-inspired look, which is in like the left corner of the room, is by Dior's current creative director, Maria Grazia Chiuri, who has constantly weaved in her own Italian heritage as inspiration. Even in the newest collection, she took influence from Catherine de' Medici with the structured skirts and honeycomb smocking, which I loved. It's also very fitting because Catherine de' Medici was an Italian Renaissance noblewoman who became Queen of France. So she is the perfect woman to represent this cultural connection.
Say something fabulous.
This is something fabulous. C'est le fin de la journée. Is that correct? Yeah. Yes! This is the end of our tour at the Dior Gallery. It's a spectacular museum. I think if you definitely have the time in Paris, you should go see it because it is very complete. You really get the beginning to the end of what the Dior legacy is, and I definitely have learned a lot. So thank you, Dior, and let's leave so everyone can go to bed.